Good morning. Welcome everyone to the sixth session of Book Clubs Across Borders. Unfortunately, due to COVID restrictions and lockdown again in Pakistan, our students from Faisalabad couldn't join us live. But we do have videos from their side which will play for you during this session. So the two books that we are going to discuss today are I Am Malala by Malala Yousafzai and In Other Rooms of the Wonders by Daniel Moinuddin. So we can have this session in two forms. Either we can discuss the both books together, or we can discuss one book in the first half and then we can discuss other book in the second half. So if you're comfortable in any way, we can do that. So Fida, let me know how do you want to do it?
Yeah, we're going to be comfortable with Malala because at the time we didn't have any exam, but the time we got the second book in Other Wonders, so we had our school university examinations. So most of our students are not really comfortable with the second one, but with the first one. So we can go with the first one, and also for the second one, we have to be kind of listener. So you guys can give answers.
All right, perfect then. So anyone from your students who would like to come up and talk about I Am Malala? We also have a video from her Malala Yousafzai's Nobel Prize acceptance speech. So we're gonna sharing that video with you guys as well. So, but first, let's hear from your students what they think about the book and how much that book helped them inspire.
Yeah, thank you. Arun.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum to everyone. My name is Muhammad Harun. I would like to talk about the book of I Am Malala. In these books, I would like to share my thought about bravery of Malala and his father Ziauddin. They both struggled about the right of girls and children in Swat because they have big problems there in Swat. First of all, I mentioned this that they started schools and wear uniform and go to all of children to schools, girls, boys, all of them can go to school. When in 2009, Taliban under control Swat, Taliban closed and banned children, especially girls from school, that they don't have allowance and permission to go to school because this is opposite of Islam. But I think they don't know really Islam, that what Islam says about the education and what's the value of education and knowledge. I think, first of all, Taliban banned schools and especially girls, don't leave them. And in the second time, they warned her father to don't go to schools and don't manage the schools because her father was principal of boys' schools, girls' schools, and Swat Jirga means committee of Swat. And his father was very good person in Swat, and not all of Swat people, her father, and he was educated person, and also lead her daughter Malala to get education and struggle for right of girls in that time. And also when Taliban warned them and don't leave them the schools, Malala Yousafzai was so sad about that Taliban prevent us from the get education and knowledge and don't lead us. But she says if they ban the schools and close the schools, we should not stop learning and get education, because we can get from another sources we have in our life. That we can get education in home, self-study, and also from my father's, in other sources that we have, we should get education and knowledge. And also when Taliban came to Swat, and also she was so sad about this, that we can go to schools, and also Taliban killed a lot of persons there intentionally without knowing have this crime that Taliban killed them, because the issues that we are the side of Islam and we serve for Islam, for Islam, but he didn't serve Islam. He shamed Islam at that time, and also we see the situation of Taliban in our country, in Afghanistan, also in Pakistan, in other places, that we don't serve for Islam. Only they have political targets that they do these things. And also when her father warned and found a letter in front of his door, Taliban said to them and warned them, treated them that you can go to school and you should stop the schools. But her father was so brave, didn't lead for them and didn't pay attention for their one in that time. And also he changed his policy and his method to go to school. First morning he went to first morning he went to, and I mean that her father Ziauddin went to boys schools. In the second morning he went to the girls schools, and in third morning he went to the committee of SWAT, means Jirga of SWAT. He changed his policy, but however he didn't lead them to go to schools. And also I mentioned about the when Malala Yousafzai struggled for right of girls, he reported BBC as a fake name, means Gul Makai, to show and aware all of Pakistan, all of world about the situation of Taliban under control of Taliban, SWAT, especially SWAT, defund girls and children from school. And also he reported different TVs and radios in Pakistan. When he got York Prize in 2011 in Pakistan, and after that, when Taliban, when Army of Pakistan came to SWAT and got off Taliban from the SWAT, schools and girls can go again to schools and get education in that time. And also Taliban changed his policy and they assassinated those persons that those are stand against of Taliban and raise their voice against of Taliban and raise their voice against for right of girls and children. They changed their policy. They shot and assassinated those persons that are opposite with them, especially that one teacher of the school shot by Taliban and his nose was damaged in the time and he put a plastic nose but he says school teacher of that school that I will never stop my struggle against the knowledge, against the right of girls. Yeah, and also I think that Taliban don't have any reason about this, that they banned and closed their schools and prevent children and especially girls from school, because how our Holy Quran first ayah is this, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Iqra, means read. And also when Taliban killed people, especially you see the situation of our country that we are faced with a big problem by the reason of them that we kill people. And also Quran Karim says when someone kills someone, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, this is ayat, man kana mu'minan qatala nafsan bighayri nafsin aw fasadin faka'annama qatala an-nasa jami'a, means that someone kills some person without revenge and without any reason. This means that he killed all of whole humanity, all of the world, and he didn't pay attention for them, because this says that we are the dominance of Islam and we are saving of Islam and we serve Islam, but he didn't serve, I think. And also when he got in 2000, when he assassinated, I think that Malala Yousafzai, when she shot it on the bus home from school in 2012, and until that time he struggled for the right of girls, for children to go to schools and get education. He says that why people and why Taliban don't lead us to get education. And also he said in that book that when Taliban under control SWAT, I have two options. First was this, that remain silent, don't raise your voice and wait to be killed. And second was this, that spoke up and raise your voice to be killed. But she says I selected the second one and struggled for the right of girls and also that he is assassinated by Taliban. But fortunately she survived and went under operations 3 times in the United Kingdom, and also she is now alive and served for girls. This was my point of view of this book. And in the second time that I will invite you to talk about cruelty of Taliban that it did in SWAT and also in our country. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your very well put review and in-depth, thoughts on Malala's life and how she came over all of those hardships, and she is now a beacon of hope, not just for Pakistan's community, but also for people in Afghanistan as well. Hello, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? I think your video is stuck. Oh, it's working now. So, anyone else from your side who would like to come up and talk about I Am Malala?
Hi, I am Amarullah. I am Malala is a true story of 14 years old girl is complete women rights in
Can you
education.
please speak a little bit loudly? We cannot hear you. Please speak a bit loudly.
I am Malala is a true story of a 14 years old girl is compared to women's right to education. In 2012, Malala was shot by the Taliban in a bus on her way home. Two men later boarded the school bus and who is Malala? They asked me. And Shah fired gunshots. Two large in Malala's cave. The series of events that followed described in Malala's voice are remarkable. The politics, media frenzy, and her recovery. The, the complex series of negotiation involving prominent political figures from Pakistan and England. It's a powerful story, it's a powerful book to women's in light of women's role in agriculture.
So here I would like to share a video with you guys about Malala Yousafzai. This is her Nobel Prize acceptance speech. Just apart from that.
That was all from our side about the book of I Am Malala. I think we're having some internet problem. It's a weak connection.
All right. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. I'm sharing it right now. Can you guys see it?
I'm proud.
And can you guys hear the video as well? Fida, can you see my screen? The video that I'm sharing?
Yeah, we can see the video. Just play it.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to play it now.
I'm proud, well, in fact, I'm very proud to be the first Pashtun, the first Pakistani, and the youngest person to receive this award. Along with that, I'm pretty certain that I'm also the first recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize who still fights with her younger brothers. I want there to be peace everywhere, but my brothers and I are still working on that. I'm also honored to receive this award together with Kailash Satyarthi, who has been a champion for children's rights for a long time, twice as long, in fact, than I have been alive. I'm proud that we can work together. We can work together and show the world that an Indian and a Pakistani, they can work together and achieve their goals of children's rights. Dear brothers and sisters, I was named after the inspirational Malala of Maiwand, who is the Pashtun Joan of Arc. The word Malala means grief-stricken, sad. But in order to lend some happiness to it, my grandfather would always call me Malala, the happiest girl in the world. And today, I'm very happy that we are together fighting for an important cause. This award is not just for me. It is for those forgotten children who want education. It is for those frightened children who want peace. It is for those voiceless children who want change. I'm here to stand up for their rights, to raise their voice. It is not time to pity them. It is not time to pity them. It is time to take action. So it becomes the last time. The last time. So it becomes the last time that we see a child deprived of education. I have found that people describe me in many different ways. Some people call me the girl who was shot by the Taliban, and some the girl who fought for her rights. Some people call me a Nobel laureate now. However, my brothers still call me that annoying bossy sister. As far as I know, I'm just a committed and even stubborn person who wants to see every child getting quality education, who wants to see women having equal rights, and who wants peace in every corner of the world.
So we also have some videos from our students in Faisalabad. So I'm going to be playing those for you as well. Give me just a second.
Hey everybody, I am Fatima Bhatt from Kohinoor Grammar School, Faisalabad. So talking about the book review of I'm Malala, I think this book is an extraordinarily amazing, thrilling and exciting. So this is a remarkable tale of a family who was pulled up by the global terrorism, who fought or stood up against girl education and fought for girl education. It's a tale of a father who himself owned a school and taught his daughter to read, write, and attend school. This is a tale of parents who manifested extreme love for their daughter in such a society who who believed girls unfortunate and unwelcomed them. Talking about Malala, Malala is a great girl with strong will. She is an educational campaigner from Swat Valley, Pakistan. She came into public attention by writing the BBC Urdu. She started her educational campaigns when Taliban made girl education their victim. When Taliban made girl education their victim. When she started her educational campaigns, she got threats, but her father ignored them that they cannot hurt a school-going girl. But on the other hand, they also feared. So Malala started to go with many girls in a van, but she uh, became a victim of Taliban and was shot, and the bullet and was shot thrice, but one bullet went inside her left eye socket and under her left shoulder, while the other two were hit to the girls sitting next to her. So this book is a memoir. This book is a memoir of a teenage girl who risked her life for the right to go to school. Raised from an enlightened father from a poor background and a beautiful illiterate mother from a political family, Malala was taught to stand up against what she believed. This book is a source of encouragement for females and to anyone else who to females and anyone else as it shows achievements that come from daily activities once you stick to it. The main themes of this book are women rights, courage, religion, education. Malala is an outspoken proponent of rights for women and girls. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Amna Hussain. I'm a student of Kohinoor Grammar School from Faisalabad. And in this little segment, I'm going to talk about the book I Am Malala. There are three specific key factors that I really want to discuss that include who is Malala and what the book is based on, and secondly, how I personally felt about the book, and lastly, any one lesson that I might have learned from the book. So, starting off with the first key factor, who is Malala and what is the book all about? Basically, we know Malala as an activist for female education, and we know that she's also one of the youngest Nobel Prize winners. And the book, as we already read, is based upon her life, how she started off as a young, optimistic girl and who always stood for education, specifically for females, because she lived in the outskirts of Sivat, and there, education wasn't really provided for females. So she stood for that. She was passionate about education, and so she stood for education for females. And the whole book is based upon how her life changed when she got shot by the Taliban, because she stood for education for females, and her life basically changed. So, moving on to the next key factor, how I personally felt about the book. To be honest with you, in the beginning, I quite enjoyed the book. I quite enjoyed the life, the minimalistic life Malala had. How she was so optimistic. I enjoyed the subtleness the author gave Malala, how she described her life. It was quite captivating until I kept on reading, and that's when I started to get bored, because I felt like the book was starting to get monotonous and a little bit repetitive, because it was mostly just talking about Malala and her life. And I love books that have many characters and a lot of turning points. So for me, this book wasn't really as interesting, but I'm sure a lot of you guys might have enjoyed it, but it's okay. There are some points in the book that I found quite controversial, so I'm not really going to get into that, but the book overall was quite good. It was fine, and I'd give it a 3 out of 5 stars, I guess. And next, I'm going to talk about any one lesson that I learned from the book. I did learn something. I may not have found the book very interesting, but I did learn something, and that is success will only follow you if you're really determined and you're really dedicated towards your goal, towards success. And that's how Malala was. She was really dedicated to the specific goal for standing up for education for females, and she was really dedicated. She never gave up throughout her life, and now look, she's at a point where she's quite successful and she's changing many young girls' lives. And that's the one lesson that I learned from the book. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
I am Uday Shfaq from Kohinoor Grammar School, Faisalabad. I read the book In Other Rooms, Other Wonders by Daniel Muinuddin. This book highlighted the oppressed socio-economic conditions of our society through short stories. All the main characters of these stories were struggling for their economic stability, and this struggle made them to earn illegal money. They were dishonest, they were corrupt, they did not know that they were selling their self-respect, their dignities in order to gain economic stability for themselves, for their children, and for a better future for themselves. This struggle for the economic stability made the Nawab King electrician dishonest and corrupt. He started deceiving his own master to get what he wanted. This struggle made Salima a toy in the hands of other men. I like the writing style of this writer as he very delicately describes everything that happens in our society, and all of the things are true because living in the same society I can realize that how truly the writer has written all these things, how much truth is there in his words, and how he expresses his thoughts in them. I love this thing in his stories, all of the stories, that how he perfectly describes all the things that are happening in our society. We do not realize that how bad we have become as a society because all of these things are because we are in this society, and I want that this do not happen again because people are losing their lives because of these economic conditions and oppressed socioeconomic conditions, and they're losing their respects and their dignities in hands of the soul. I don't want things like this to occur, and hands off to Daniel Muinuddin, who wrote such great stories highlighting all the truths in our societies so that people can realize and open their eyes in front of this thing that yes, we are the ones who are responsible for these things that are happening in our society, and so they should not happen in the society. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning. I am Mariam Noor from Faisalabad, and today I will be talking about the book I Am Halal.
Hello, I'm Ms. Kamran from Kohinoor Grammar School, Faisalabad. So I read this book In Other Rooms, Other Wonders, which is a really good book. It comprises of 8 different stories which are linked to a person named KK Haruni, his family, his relatives, servants and employees. KK Haruni is an old landlord in Pakistan. So the book is quite interesting, and the major themes which I want to discuss about, which I found in the stories, were social class difference, power and influence, and that nothing lasts forever and everything eventually comes to an end. So the first theme, social class difference, an example of it I found when Husna, a relative of KK Haruni, moves to his house to seek employment, and when they both enter a relationship, the relationship is not supported by people and even his daughter because there is a social class difference between them. They belong to different social classes, as Husna's relatives and family had moved to a different social class and they were not as high class as Haruni was. And his daughter even demands that Husna should not be present while she visits her father. So even when Haruni died, she was sent back to her village and not allowed to stay in the house anymore. And this is an example that social class difference really affects the life of people in different ways, as if a person if two people from different social classes enter a relationship, the relationship would not be supported by other people because it's seen as something really strange. You belong to a different social class and one who belongs to a lower class, and when you enter a relationship, how can that be possible? It's quite strange to people. And power and influence, the symbol for power is money, because when a person is rich, he has power over the other person who is poor. And how an example which I want to give is from the story about a burning girl, that the rich people, the wealthier, can bribe the judges so the judges can make a decision in their favor. Like in About a Burning Girl, the judge accepts the bribe and obviously the decision is given in the favor who gave the bribe, and the bribe can only be given by the richer person. So it really affects the people because the lower class people cannot get their rights properly. They don't afford to bribe judges, obviously, they can't get the decisions in their favor. And and the one who is wrong can even pay for the decision in their favor. So no one can call them wrong, and the lower class people don't get proper justice. So these things are really disturbing as well, because they are present in the society. There is corruption in many fields, and the rich ones, the wealthier ones, have influence to get what they want. And this is the theme that I found in almost every single story. So social class differences can be in other ways too, which are discussed in the book. And it's a really quite interesting book that I found, because it revolves around what is actually happening around us in the society. These all things are present. So I found this book really good, and I would probably recommend anyone to read the book. And that's all I want to say about that book.
We have one more video and then we can come back to you.
Good morning and Assalamu alaikum. I am Etsamur Rahman from Faisalabad, and today I wanted to discuss my review on I Am Malala, which is an autobiography written by Malala Yousafzai about her struggles and her fight for women's and girls' rights. This is by far the most inspirational book that I have ever read. Malala is such an inspiration to so many people, myself included. Normally, I'm not such a big fan of non-fiction books, but this book just had me hooked. It was so interesting to read about what happened to her and our country. Reading this book put my life into perspective and made me feel very grateful for what I have. At the beginning of the book, Malala and her family were grateful for being able to play cricket in the alleyway by their house. But kids these days are upset because they got the wrong colored iPhone. This made me realize that I have a lot and that I should be grateful for what I have. Malala didn't deserve anything that happened to her, but even after being shot to the head, she survived and kept on fighting for what she believed in. She didn't back down and kept fighting for girls' rights to an education and to have equal rights to those of boys. This is definitely a great book, and I believe that everyone should read this book and learn about Malala's story and all that she has been through. This is my favorite non-fiction book, so I hope that everyone else can also read it.
All right, so these were the videos from your friends in Faisalabad. Since they also gave reviews on In Other Rooms, Other Wonders, so anyone from your side who might have read maybe just one chapter from In Other Rooms, Other Wonders, so we can get your opinion on from your side as well on this book. Fadaullah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but we still have the big network connection problem.
All right, so I was just asking anyone from your side who would like to talk about In Other Rooms, Other Wonders. If
Yeah,
they have
of
read
course.
if even just one story, we can talk about that.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Abdullah. So I booked that book and I've got a shirt review on it. The book was absolutely written diamond cut. For me, it was fascinating, and the whole thing or the story I think was about culture, the good or the bad aspects of culture. So I've got a short review. So I would like it to tell it to you. So the first chapter points out that every human being is needed to not just provide and love him or herself, but love and provide for others too. Like in our being case, as he did with his 12 daughters and family. And the second salient point of the first chapter is that sometimes you need to be smarter than the environment around you. Like in Navdeen's case, he was cheated by a strange person who asked Navdeen for a ride in the middle of night. Actually, the person was a thief that cheated on Navdeen and wanted his motorcycle to steal. But Navdeen didn't want his motorcycle to get steal. So they fight and shoot at each other. So the point is that if you want to be out of harm, then you gotta be smarter than the environment around you. So it would be way better to live our life according to that rule which say, a loveless life is a living death. It means that we should love each other, so we will value ourselves and others too. Therefore, we will not harm them and they won't harm us. And second chapter moves us to poor people lives that have hard and obligatory the lives they live in society. The second chapter tells us that the important cause of that is heroin, coke, and other narcotic drugs, and how they can deficient immune system and become a factor of poverty and hate among people, and how narcotic drugs can exterminate the lives of our next generations. So for us, the message is that it's way better to stop those sabotaging drugs. And another cool point is that if you want to request someone for help or something, then look for the sweet moment. And besides that, I'm going to mention another point. That is, in a rainy weather, we should not go outside without torch or lamps, as small holes might be filled of water, so snakes might come out, and so snakes might come out from holes, so we need to be careful. So for me, the last and important point of that chapter is that usually rural people think that not having children in marriage is due to man impotency. Like in book, Zainab thought that the only reason of her not having children is due to her husband Aslam impotency. Therefore, she wants to get married. Therefore, she wants to get married to Jagalani, and she did. But the result of the wedding didn't become positive. So she understood that it wasn't due to Aslam, but that it was she herself born. So for us, this story clears out that infertility isn't just a state of men, but both genders. So that was a short review of me. I hope so you like it. So thank you.
Thank you so much for your review on In Other Rooms, Other Wonders. I know we are running out of time. We have some short time left, but I have a question for you guys. So I know these two books are very different from each other. One is fiction, it's a collection of short stories, and Other Rooms, Other Wonders, and I Am Malala is a non-fiction, it's an autobiography. But there's a common, I feel like there's this common factor between them that Malala stood up for girls' right for education and she stood up against the Taliban. And the Taliban is that extremist group which doesn't want children to get education, which doesn't want the society to get educated. And then when we see in Other Rooms, Other Wonders, we see that there is this socio-economic difference, there is this class difference, which is mostly created due to a lack in education. Even when we see in our feudal system, we see that there is this family which is ruling this area for decades, and they're not letting their people in the village get education. So my question from you guys is that why such extremist groups or these people in power don't want people to get education? What is so scary about an educated person, or what is so scary about education for them that the first thing that they do is they destroy schools. They don't let people go to schools. They don't let children, especially women, girls, get education. So in your mind, in your thoughts, what is so scary about education for them? Even though for us education is not scary, but for them it is something which they think that, oh, we should, first of all, we should end this. So what do you guys think about that?
Hello, everyone. This is Mumtaz Zirak. That's a very good question, and I would like to answer that question. The question is that why the Taliban or terrorist group want to prevent people from getting education. My answer is that Taliban and other terrorist groups are supported by very big countries. Uh, they have some benefits in fighting. They have benefits in wars, fighting battles. People of the country like Afghanistan and Pakistan, that nowadays there is a war in these countries. If they are educated, they, they fight against terrorism. They fight against Taliban or other groups. If they're educated people, they cannot afford the cruel acts of Taliban or other terrorists because they are educated. They are not doing crimes. They are not killing people. They are not mining bombs. So Taliban or other terrorist groups are very afraid of education because of that point that they do not want to lose their income from the war. They do not want to lose their interest. They are very interested in fighting because they have lots of benefits. They get money. They are living by fighting. They are selling guns by big countries. I do not want to mention these countries. Everyone in the world knows better about these countries. They want to sell their guns in these countries. So if there is no war, if there is no fighting in other countries, if there is no terrorism in these countries, who will be buying their guns? Who will be, from who they will be getting money? So I think that's just my opinion. May other people may have different takes on that, but that's my point.
Thank you so much for your answer. And I know there is this political angle to this answer, which I would not like to, get into deeply into that. But I do agree at some point that yes, war does, promote, it does help some faction of our world, and it also supports, if there's conflict, then there is money coming in from various industries. So that's why there are some regions which are always in conflict. But the answer that I was thinking about, that why such extremist groups, they are against education, and why, especially talking in terms of Another Rooms of the Wonders, that the feudal system does not support education. They don't let the people of their community, the people of their village go to school. They don't support education there. So in my thoughts, in my opinion, that education gives you, it opens up your mind to new avenues. It makes you broad-minded. It makes you try out new things. It makes you aware of things that are your rights. It makes you understand that this is right and this is wrong. And it also teaches you patience. Education also teaches you not to be violent. So I think for these groups, for these extremist factions in our world, this is their go-to thing to, make people violent and make people not understand themselves and not understand their rights. And I also remember that our friend who was sitting right in front of us in this blue coat, he told us that he correctly referenced Islam and the Quran, that the first revelation that came upon our Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, was to read. And our religion also asks us to get education, to do research on whatever we are told. We are told in the Quran that we should do research on whatever we are told, and then we should understand if it's correct or if it's wrong. So for such extremist groups in our world, it's the first thing to go is to make humans, violent and not understand each other, is to not let them get education. And when you go to school, you also learn, you just not learn to read books, you also learn to understand each other. You also learn to be tolerant. You also learn to realize that there are other people who can have different opinion from me, and just to, make them realize that they are wrong, we also can understand their point of view. So I think education also teaches you patience. It also teaches you tolerance. And there is a really big dearth of tolerance in the world right now. That's why we are seeing so many people who are getting violent, who are getting extremist, that their first mode of action is to get physical in an argument. So I think that's why such people don't let the people get education. Anyone who would like to add on to this?
Yeah, I would like to share something about the same topic. It's very interesting. Let's just say that such terrorist groups or such terrorism or extremists are just like a disease in the world. So in medical, we have a proverb that a specific diagnosis is half of the treatment. So education gives you the power to diagnose the disease, diagnose the illness. So they do not let you diagnose them. They do not let you analyze them. Why? Because once you get the diagnosis, then you can find the cure or remedies for it. So that's why they are stopping you from getting education, because if there is education, there is no disease, there is no virus. But if there is no education, the dominance is with such virus and such diseases. And I think this could be the short scenario of such topic.
Thank you so much for your answer, Fida. And I think we can wrap up our session now. Thank you so much for joining in despite of all the problems. And I think this is the kind of resilience that people in both of our communities need. That even though there are problems, there are problems, even like small problems, which are not just small for us, but they are small problems for the people in first world countries. That having an internet, a stable internet connection. We are still struggling with it. You guys are still struggling with it, but we are still making such dialogues happen. And I think this is really important to understand each other as well. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming and for reading all of these books. Inshallah, we'll see you guys next time. And also, Fida, if any one of your students has not joined our Facebook group yet, please ask them to join that group. So because we're having more conversations over there. So thank you so much, everyone, and enjoy your day. See you, inshallah, next time. Khuda Hafiz.